Okay, thank you so much, Dehao and Dr. Lee and all the participants here. Let us, so for the medical professionals, you have the Hippocrates Oath. It is the oath that you take to make sure that your professional work does not go waste, or that it becomes very meaningful. So likewise, this is exactly in line with setting proper motivation for whatever virtues that we engage in. And so here we let us seek the blessings of all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas and the medicine Buddha, actually Buddha Shakyamuni himself, having manifested in the form of medicine Buddha, and all the enlightened beings. And imagine that you are with your two parents and all your family members and all the sentient beings around you. So with this mind, let's say these verses together by invoking a spirit that I'll be of greatest benefit to others to the best I can. And imagine that you are leading this and all beings are joining you. With this mind, let us read the following. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, we'll recite this mantra. So this mantra, the meaning in simple terms is that all experiences of the pains or the happiness, they are derived from their respective causes. And what are the causes giving rise to the pains, and what are the causes giving rise to happiness, are all well indicated by the Tathagata Buddha. And how to bring an end to the causes of the miseries is as well taught by the great teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. Okay, let's recite this together. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. The meaning of the mantra. All phenomena of miseries arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessational causes as well is taught by the great seer. Okay, we'll recite the Heart Sutra mantra. Okay, 4 seals, yes. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are of suffering nature. Everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Okay, that's okay, yes. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge in the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge in the trouble jet. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Om Mone Mone Maha Mone Swaha. 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 Om Mani Padme Ho, 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 Om Mani Padme Ho. We'll recite this Heart Sutra mantra together with the tune. Yata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattvas Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattvas Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattvas. Okay, welcome you all. Today the second session, the talk is on the meditation for a greater meaning of life for a profession, for a medical professional. We see, as I said it earlier, if you look at the Hippocrates Oath, which in fact many years ago I read it, and I've been hearing about this oath for many years. Since I was in my late 20s or mid 20s, and then at one point I was so curious to see what is that like, and I read it, and it's so moving, it's so powerful, so compassionate, and very profoundly compassionate. This is the word, not just compassionate, but very profoundly compassionate. And where this person, the individual is expected to use the maximum intelligence to display the maximum compassion towards the patients. This is something which the first information that I got from this oath, and I was so impressed with this. And with this, today, and how can we reach to that level? And how can we reach such a level of sophistication of compassion, the sophistication of being sensitive to the situation of the patients? That's really amazing. And so if we explore what the Buddha taught, in fact, at the time of Buddha, there was there was one medical, there was a physician, and all over around the locality, all over around that region, there was a wide spread, the renown that the Buddha Shakyamuni is the physician of the mind, and that particular physician is the physician of the body. So he received such a level of reverence and respect from all over the place. So the medical doctor, and the Buddha was then correlating this physical with the mental. And in order to, particularly for a medical professional, I would say that today's allopathic tradition, this is an amazing system. And to be very honest, of course, the ancient systems, such as the Ayurveda medicine, then the Tibetan medicine, and of course the Chinese medicine, and the Unani, Siddha, and all these medicines, they have a tremendous wisdom there. But the allopathic medicine, I would really say that it is extremely sophisticated, allopathic medicine. This will acknowledge it. At the same time, somebody like each one of us, particularly the young medical doctors, or who are on the verge to complete the courses to tread on the medical line, there, what is expected is that your performance be the maximum. For that matter, it is not just how you score well in your exams, or how you do so well in your treatment, but it is you who should have the energy, who should have the willpower, who should have the proactive compassion, and the patience. The patience having a sense of the confidence in you, sense of trust in you. So all these things play a very important role. In fact, 2008, if I'm not wrong, 2008, when His Holiness the Dalai Lama was in America, and he was in Rochester, the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic, I'm sure many of you already heard about Mayo Clinic, there, and then His Holiness was requested to give a public address to all the medical doctors and nurses and the medical staff there. Then during the questions session, one very senior, I think cardiologist, they asked question to His Holiness that today what we discovered, medically speaking, what is discovered is that for the patients to be healed, to get healed, to be healed faster, the trust of the patients with the doctor is the mandatory, or it's the invariably required, indispensable. And how to build this trust? So this was a question asked by the medical doctor, very senior medical doctor, I think cardiologist, to His Holiness. So the point is that today what is discovered is that the physical, the balance and the mental balance, how these two are very closely connected, without which we can't expect to treat the physical illnesses on its own, like as mechanically. Okay, for this matter, today's talk, which is the practice of meditation. Practice meditation to heal, to bring about healing within yourself, and particularly for the medical professionals. That is so relevant today. For that matter, what I like to tell you is that when you talk about the healing, be it physical or be it mental, it's for that matter, I'm sure that the medical professionals, young doctors, you know that how positive the patient is, positive thinking, there's a tremendous effect in the main thinking of the healing, the speed of the healing of the patient. That is for sure. Now, this mental thinking, that plays a very important role. And for that matter, to say, for example, let's say that if you squeeze a handful of sand, no oil comes out. But if you squeeze a handful of sunflower seeds, oil comes out. And likewise, for somebody to have the healing taking place, there should be a seed of, say, the goodness inside, or a seed of, say, a state of being healed. It should be inside us. For that matter, the point is that so this, what the Buddha referred to as the Buddha nature, the seed of perfection, is within each one of us. Now, the point is, as a medical professional, we need to know how to take care of yourself. And oftentimes, the medical professionals, particularly the very genuine medical professionals, very dedicated medical professionals, they go to the burnout cases. They go to the extent of burnout, which means that they feel so tired, they don't really get time for their own, the rest and so forth. And this is what happens. So even the medical professionals, they need to learn how to take care of oneself. For that matter, what is known as the meditation, that plays a very important role. And what is meditation? Before we go to depth, how to use this meditation to heal yourself and to heal others. For that matter, we need to first know what is meditation. Meditation is a system. It's a system of your mind, which helps you to habituate into a virtuous mental state, which makes you to habituate into a virtuous mental state. Virtue doesn't mean that, okay, this is cardinal virtue, this is cardinal sin. No, it's nothing to do with that. Say, the point is that what makes you, what we seek, what everybody seeks is happiness. What everybody shuns is misery. So the happiness that we seek and the miseries which we shun, they are not what randomly arise, but they come into existence by dependence on your thinking. So within that thinking, there are two sets of thinking. One, which gives rise to happiness. This we call as virtue. One set of thinking which gives rise to miseries, more pain in you. That is known as non-virtues, as simple as that. So with this in mind, the meditation is to make you familiarize, like, say, for somebody who's suffering from tuberculosis, one gives the antibiotics like isoniazid, rifampicin, ethambutol, and so forth. You give the antibiotics. When you give them these antibiotics, you don't give them for one day. You give for a whole six months, which means that you have to repeat it. That repeating this medication is required. Likewise, repeating your virtues is required for you to feel the happiness. So this repeating of the virtues is known as meditation. So with this in mind, meditation is of two kinds. So finally, we need a very stable mind, stable, calm, like a vast ocean, which doesn't get disturbed by any elements. You need to build your mind to that extent, like a vast ocean, so pleasant, so calm, peaceful, that you're not affected. You don't go into the burnout cases. So how does that happen? That is the point. How does it happen? So this, so what makes us feel burnout? There is one set of the emotions, and these emotions are rooted to what is known as the ignorance. Ignorance is like darkness. In dark, we don't see the reality. Now, to get rid of these, the ignorance and the darkness of the ignorance, we need to introduce the light of the wisdom. And when I say light of the wisdom, don't think of some, the exotic things like the dogma and so forth. It's very simple. A light of the wisdom is the understanding inside your mind. Understanding inside your mind with understanding which is so profound and so vast. That makes your mind like an ocean, which is not being disturbed easily, and thus you don't go into burnout cases. This is how the medical experts can take care of themselves. And once you know how to take care of yourself, you can then teach others how to take care of themselves. Okay, so now with this light, very profound light, and the vast, expansive light, this light should have two qualities. One is the profundity, very profound, in depth, and the other one is the steadiness. It should be very stable, not being easily fluctuated and then go into burnout. So for that, we need to do two trainings. One training to make this wisdom so profound, this one thing, and the other wisdom to make this wisdom very stable, steady, not fluctuating easily. So we need these two things. Number one, to make this mind very profound. For example, let's say that we have all set for exams, and particularly Singapore, you have so many exams in schools. And then you give the students, unlike their children, particularly the children, unlike the children in other countries. Singapore, their poor children, they have to attend the classes, exams, and coaching, just endlessly, so many homeworks, endless homeworks for the Singaporean school children. So you know what is exam. Okay, so for that matter, for this exam, we need and then every exam there's a tension, there's a nervousness coming in you. And sharing my personal journey when I was aged like 18 or 19, sitting for the last exam for the high school final exam. Till that point, appearing for any exam, although I was not doing bad, I was performing well, particularly since age 14, 15, 16, I was doing pretty good in the exams. But still, every time I was sitting for the exam, there was nervousness there in my mind. And I'm sure, particularly Singaporeans, you might have the nervousness every time you sit for a major exam. And so there's nervousness there. So we need this when we so this wisdom in order to really penetrate deep into the reality, like small children or the high school students and even the college students, when you sit for the exams, to really check the degree of the knowledge, there's a fear in you. There's a nervousness there within you. Whereas, let's say for Albert Einstein, I don't know now who is regarded as one of the best the medical doctors in Singapore, I have no clue. But say that, the most brilliant doctor in Singapore, if he is to sit for your final medical exam, he has no fear. He is the top doctor in Singapore and brilliant. So because of this, the fear is not there. This is because of his knowledge. So this knowledge gives you the confidence and it gets rid of the fear. So this is the wisdom. When the wisdom is so profound, it simply frees you from the fears. This is one part. So for that matter, we need to learn how to make the wisdom very sharp and penetrating. This is number one. So that training to make the wisdom very sharp and penetrating, that is known as the analytical meditation. So meditation, there are two kinds. Analytical meditation and the other one is single-pointed meditation. So this is analytical meditation. And where is the wisdom to build your steadiness, where your mind remains very firm, it doesn't fluctuate easily. And as medical experts or the medical professional, say your senior says that, okay, you have to take care of this, you have to register this patient, and then you have so many notes to make related to the patient, you feel very tired, okay. And so there, the point is that then you start to freak at times. There's so many things to do, I cannot do all these things together. You freak. So there, your mind gets, in fact, your mind is not steady. Your mind easily fluctuates depending on the external factors. So now the second training is like the light, to make it very steady. Not only that light is very sharp and very bright, but also the light is steady. So for that matter, we need to train in a meditation known as single-pointed meditation, also technically known as the shamatha meditation. Okay. Now, before I go into how these different meditations help you to remove our lethargy, remove our heaviness, remove in other words, to take care of ourselves. Let me give you a very simple, meditation technique. Very simple one, which will be very helpful. So this we will do together. Okay, ready? What do you do is that first let us sit upright, and for that matter, this meditation is going to be a very simple one. And then once we are done with this in terms of instruction, then I will also share with you how the various meditations help you to keep your mind calm, peaceful, and not being easily fluctuated by the external factors. When the mind is not easily fluctuated, then the mind can retain its calmness, not being succumbed to burnout. Okay. So this meditation, a simple meditation, just to keep your mind calm. For this, we need 4 points to keep in mind. 4 points. Let's not forget it. The first one is the body posture. The body posture plays a very important role. And number 2 is the focal point. And number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. And number 4 is applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Okay, I hope you got all these 4. Did you get it? Do you get what these 4 are? I hope you got. Well, the first one is body posture. Number 2 is focal point. Number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. And number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Okay, let's go one by one. And then once the instruction is complete, then we'll do the meditation together. First, the body posture. Body posture is so important. In fact, what I would suggest is that I do come across people who say that I start practicing meditation with the help of YouTube. This is not a good idea. I would never suggest you to practice meditation with the help of the YouTube. It must be done with a living teacher. This is so important. Otherwise, you can easily go wrong. This is so important because meditation is training your mind, and mind can easily go haywire, and you can become crazy. In fact, just recently, somebody asked me if I would recommend her to do a meditation on, the channels, like chakras, channels, and so forth. I said, please don't do that. You are not ready for that. Please don't do that. In the end, it'll make you crazy. You'll become crazy. Okay, you'll become mad. It's very dangerous. So I suggested not to do it. And luckily, the person listened to me. Otherwise, some people, they're very stern. They simply want to hear what they want to hear. They ask you what they want to hear. They don't want to listen to what they don't want to hear. So therefore, even if when I said that no, the person was still very happy, said that thank you, I'll not do it. Okay, so what I'm suggesting is that these must be done with the help of a living teacher. It should not be, your mind should not be played. If you play with your mind, it can really destroy you. Okay, so for that matter, the body posture, number one. Body posture, now there are 7 parts. Number one is the cross-leg position. How many of you know how to do the cross-leg position? Which is left foot on your right leg and the left foot on your left leg. Let me say it again. Left foot on your right leg and the right foot on your left leg. If you are not on a chair, if you are sitting more on a sofa or whatever, then you can try it. Let's do it once more. The left foot on your right leg. Left foot on your right leg. Try that. Okay. Then the right foot on your left leg. Initially, it's quite painful. Doesn't matter. This is how we have to practice. And if you start to feel the pain, don't force yourself to sit like this. Then you release your feet and take a rest. Once the pain is gone, again bring it back. This is how we practice, and over time it's become very comfortable. Okay, this is one part that we need to keep in mind. And you may ask me, why do we have to do that? If you learn to sit cross-legged, this is known as cross-legged or the Lotus Posture. If you learn how to sit cross-legged, then the benefit is that you can sit in this meditation for a longer duration of time. Okay, one. Then number 2 is extremely important, not to miss, is sit upright. Sit upright. Don't sit like this, or don't sit leaning against the support. Don't sit leaning against support. Sit upright, where your body should be like an arrow. Upright like this. Okay, this is very important. Sit upright. And what's the benefit? What's the benefit of this? Why do you have to sit upright? The benefit is that as your body is upright, then what is known as the channels through which the energy flows. And medically, what is seen as energy and what is described as energy in the meditation system, this may not tally 100%. But medically, what we know is that there's the spinal cord there, and is what you find is the continuation of the brain. It's the continuation of the brain alongside running through the spinal cord. So in a way, this is brain. A brain supported by the spinal cord is being protected by the spinal cord. Okay, the vertebrae. So when it becomes straight, then the flow of the energy is very smooth. And the energy and the mind, what we call as the mind, which meditates, these two are very closely connected. These two are connected because the energy flow, energy through and today we can talk about the neurotransmitters. But of course, keep in mind that even the neurotransmitters, they are not exactly the energy that we're talking about in the meditation system. But neurotransmitters, naturally, when the spine is straight, then the spinal cord is straight, and the transmission of the neurotransmitters, they can happen very smoothly. And in other words, for an experienced meditator, they can see the contrast between when you sit like this or when you sit straight. You can see the contrast. When you sit like this, your mind becomes a little sluggish. When you sit like this, instantly mind becomes very fresh. This is what you can feel. Particularly when you start meditating, you can feel the difference between these two. This is one thing. So, for meditation, always try to keep your body upright. This is so important. Whereas if you cannot sit with cross-legged, which you discussed earlier, cross-legged, if you cannot do that, don't worry. If you can do that, this is best. If you cannot do that, still you can do the meditation. But if your body is like this, or leaning against the support, and even this is very prominent, you lean against the support, instantly your mind drops is the valor. The moment you sit upright without leaning against the support, the mind instantly becomes very vibrant and very fresh. But this is one thing. And the next part, number 3, is your head tilted forward a little bit. Not too bent, but tilted forward a little bit. Then the eyes. Okay. Oftentimes, some people who instruct meditation, they tell you close your eyes. This is actually wrong. When you become an expert meditator, then it's fine. You can close your eyes, you can open your eyes, you can lean against support, you can just sit hunchback, you can sit upright, you can lie down, you can do meditation in whatever position. That's fine when you become expert. Till that point, don't close your eyes. Keep your eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down. So meanwhile, after completion of the instruction on this single point of meditation, then you'll do the short 5 minutes practice. And after the practice, I will invite questions from you. If you have any questions pertaining to the instructions, when you apply them in your meditation, there are many questions which can come. They need to be resolved. Okay, so the eyes not closed, 45, the half open, 45 degrees cast down. Then the next one is tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in your mouth. And the teeth and the lips, keep them in their natural course. Breathe normally. Breathe naturally. Don't force your breath. Don't control the breath. Let the breath flow very naturally. Okay. Then the next one is your right hand on the left hand. Right hand on the left hand. And the tips of the 2 thumbs standing, touching, forming a triangle, and place the 2 hands on your lap in a restful state. Okay, so while your body is upright, make sure that your body is not rigid, it is flexible. This is extremely important. Extremely important. Okay, this is your body posture. Then number 2 is focal point. Focal point means what are you going to meditate on? What is that thing that you're going to meditate? Simply by sitting and closing your eyes. This is not meditation. This is just a body posture. Meditation is to be done by your mental consciousness. What does it mean by mental consciousness? Our consciousness or the mind. Our mind or the consciousness, it is of 2 kinds. One which is related to the senses, physical senses, like eye consciousness, what your eyes can see, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, and the body consciousness. So these are the sense consciousnesses. Another one is mental consciousness. For example, say if you think of what you ate yesterday. If I ask you what you ate yesterday, you cannot use the sense consciousness, because sense consciousness, they are very immediate to the sensual objects. What you ate yesterday is gone. Your senses cannot get access to these. What you ate yesterday, that you can still think. If you had pizza, or if you have what? Dumplings, or chow mein, or noodles, whatever you have, and you can remember that. So that is done not by your sensory consciousnesses, that is done by your mental consciousness. So when you meditate, you're going to employ the mental consciousness. You will not employ the sensory consciousness. Let's not forget it. When you become a Buddha, it is your mental consciousness which will become Buddha. Because this mental consciousness does the meditation, and this mental consciousness undergoes the training. Because this is training, this mental consciousness becomes more potent and more pure, and eventually become Buddha. So mental consciousness, that is to be employed for meditation. Okay, so what are you going to meditate on? This question. So what you're going to do here is a very simple one. Very simple, yet very effective. Particularly for the very busy Singaporean medical professionals. And the young ones, okay, see how you are yet to become a doctor. How many more years you have now? Oh, you are on your final year. Okay, the Dr. Lee is a doctor. Yeah. Okay, others like the Rachel Tan. Rachel Tan? Already doctor?
I'm not a doctor, but I'm an educational therapist, so I help dyslexic children.
Wonderful. Okay, are you already a therapist or you are being trained?
Yes. For 10 years, I have been working for practice.
Okay, you're already a full-fledged therapist. What about Hui-Wen?
I will be studying nursing.
Yes. Okay, course. What course? Medical?
Nursing.
Okay, nursing.
Nursing.
Very good. So you are being trained as a nurse.
I'm going to start my course soon.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good. Okay. So the point is that for this, what are you going to meditate on? This question. So this meditation we learn. If we learn, then it's going to be very simple yet very effective. Extremely effective to keep your mind calm and not distracted and focused. This is so important. Okay, with this in mind, what are you going to meditate on? This question. So, two things. Number one is just counting the breath, also known as the breathing meditation. And the breathing meditation has so many kinds. Breathing meditation has so many kinds. And what we're doing here is a very simple one, which is just to count the breath. Just to count the breath. Okay, so you sit in your body posture and just breathe in, breathe out, cycle 1. Again, breathe in, breathe out, cycle 2. This is how we just count the breath. And there are some very complicated meditations like where you follow the breath. That okay, now my breath has entered my right nostril and it went to the upper channel, and from the central channel it flows down. It now goes to the bottom. From the bottom again it comes back through the left channel and then coming out of the left nostril, and again enters through the right nostril. Very complicated systems are there. We'll just avoid that for the time being. Only just count the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2, just count the breath. This is one thing. And if you think that, oh, this is too simple, I want a little more complicated. If this is what you want, then the next one is multitasking. Multitasking meaning that you're going to do two things together. Two things together. Number one is the counting breath, as I said earlier. Then number 2 is while counting the breath, simultaneously, you're going to visualize a very tiny white dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter, between the nose and the upper lip. Okay, just try to scratch this part. Scratch the space between the nose and the upper lip. Scratch it. Okay, don't look at it with the eyes. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Just scratch it. And do you feel it? You can feel it. You can feel it. Okay, scratch from behind. Without looking at it, just scratch your back. Scratch. Do you feel it? Yes, I could feel it. When you say, yes, I could feel it, when you say that, that is not your sense consciousness. That feeling is the sense consciousness, but when you say, yes, I could feel it, that is a mental consciousness. This mental consciousness is going to focus on the tiny dot between the nose and the upper lip. This is what I'm going to meditate on. Okay, so two things happening together. Counting the breath simultaneously, focusing on a tiny white dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter between nose and the upper lip. Two things happening together. And some people, this is always very complicated. I can't even visualize the white dot. If this is an issue, then just do the counting the breath. And if you think that counting the breath is too simple, then you can add that. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. This is the focal point. Number 3, identify the errors of meditation. Identify the errors of meditation. What mistakes can we make when we meditate? There are 2 mistakes. There are 2 the possible mistakes that can happen to us. One is that when you meditate, your mind can feel sleepy. Your mind can feel sleepy. Okay, this is known as mental laxity. Mental laxity. And the other one is that when you're meditating, your mind just wanders here and there, everywhere. It gets scattered everywhere. It's not sitting on what you are to meditate on. Instead, it gets scattered everywhere. This is known as mental excitement. So these are the 2 potential mistakes or the errors that you can make when you do the faults, when you engage yourself in meditation. Mental laxity and mental excitement. Okay. Now, if any of these 2 things happen, what should I do? This next question. What should I do? Don't panic. Don't worry. Just apply the remedies. And what remedies to apply? There are 2 remedies. There are 2 remedies. One is introspection and the other one is mindfulness. Introspection and mindfulness. And I'm sure some of you might have constantly heard of the mindfulness meditation, mindfulness-based stress reduction meditation. All these systems are there. They're perfectly good. So what we're learning here is the remedy to overcome the meditation faults. So 2 remedies, introspection and mindfulness. What's the difference? What is introspection? What is mindfulness? This question. Introspection is like a spy. If you have a pet dog, you have lost a pet dog, what do? First you go and search for the pet dog. Where's my pet dog? That is introspection. Your mind is like your mind, which is otherwise to meditate, which is otherwise to be meditating. This mind is like your pet dog. Now, instead of the pet dog sitting next to you, it has disappeared. It's nowhere to be seen. So instead of your mind meditating on the white drop and counting the breath, it is already scattered or is sleeping. So that you have to check. So your mind checking what your mind to see what your mind is doing, whether it's meditating or whether it's sleeping or whether it is scattered. So that examination is known as the introspection. The next is mindfulness. So with this introspection, let's say that you have found your dog, the pet dog, somewhere else. What do? Once you find your dog, then the job of the mindfulness is done. You don't look for the dog anymore. The job of the mindfulness is done. Once you find the dog, then what you do is that you use your rope to tie the dog to the rope and bring it home and tie it to the pillar of your home. Mindfulness is like the rope. Once you find that your mind is already distracted somewhere or already just falling asleep, when you discover that, then tie this mind with the rope of the mindfulness and bring it back to the intended object of the meditation, the white dot or the counted breath. Okay, so these are the 2 remedies to overcome the errors. Are you ready now? We'll do the 5 minutes meditation. Okay, ready? And meanwhile, after this 5 minutes meditation, I will invite questions from you. If you have any questions pertaining to the meditation, what we have learned just now, you're bound to have questions. If questions, just please bring them up, and these must be solved. Okay, the 5 minutes. Ready? Are you ready? 5 minutes. Okay, any questions related to your, yes, Rachel Tan?
I have a simple question.
Yes.
Thanks for the introduction. The instructions was really clear.
Thank you.
Is just if you are meditating and like my leg feels itchy, will you recommend ignoring it or stretching it?
Oh.
It's restricting.
Okay. Very, very good. Okay, I'm very happy that these are the practical questions coming up. This is an indication that you are actually meditating. Thank you. Okay, what should I do if, let's say when I meditate and if my lips are itching or I have some itch in my eyes, should I blink or not blink? Or the throat, I feel in discomfort around the throat. Should I clear my throat? What should I do? Okay, what you do is that it's a matter of let's say the gradual the exercise. Initially, try your best to not to fix those things initially, and then gradually the part you become too desperate that I can't do without scratching it. When that happens, scratch it. When it becomes too desperate, sometimes the saliva accumulation is so much that should I swallow it or not? Right? It was so desperate that your mind is not meditating at all. So your mind is simply going into the saliva or the eyes itching or the itching somewhere in the lips or in the neck. These things happen. So when you become too desperate, then just try to fix them. And even the throat. There's little itchy thoughts happening in the meditation. When you're not meditating, it's not happening. But if you meditate, sometimes it starts to come up. When that happens, then clear it. Clear it. Okay. Sometime in the initial stage. Then over time, gradually, you get some kind of experience that, okay, most likely that in between, in the meditation, I need to clear my thought. Now you do the clearing the throat before you start meditation. You clear it, and okay, I may have a little bit of issue with my eyes. I need to rub it like this to make sure that it's perfectly well through the meditation. And then the other, wherever I feel itchy here, you fix it, whatever. And then you do meditation. So most likely, you will not have these experiences in the meditation. But it can happen. If it does happen, what should you do? And try your best not to act impulsively. In fact, this meditation is to counteract our impulsion, our impulsive reactions. Meditation is to train your mind not to fall prey to the impulsive reactions. So these are all the impulsive reactions. Try not to follow them. And if it becomes so desperate, again, do it. But how you felt so desperate in the initial days and now is very different. In the initial days, just within a short span of time, you feel so desperate. Now, after a prolonged period of time, only then you can feel the desperation. When you do that, this is how you are actually training the mind. The mind is the one which makes you feel all these things. Your mind. So only when you become very desperate, then you do it. Otherwise, till that point, try not to do it. And gradually, these things will stop. Your urge to clear the throat, your urge to rub your eyes, your urge to scratch this, all this will gradually stop. Okay, this is a very practical question. Thank you. Okay, any more questions?
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Any more questions? Anyone? Again. Anyone know?
question.
Yes, please.
Yes. So just you mentioned two different types of fighting. One is lethargic and one is racing. If, for example, if I have like a looming deadline or like an exam tomorrow, my mind isn't racing, but the stress of things tomorrow is constantly like spending time. Like that feeling. How do you get rid of that or trying to meditate?
Okay, your stress, right? Say the exam stress. Exam stress is quite quite painful, right? Yeah. So how to get rid of this exam stress? Is this question or is more complicated?
Yeah, something like one single source of stress.
Okay, let's say like exam stress. Say tomorrow's exam, and that is the final medical exam, right? Final year. So how should I deal with the stress? Okay, this is a good question. Okay, the one thing is that don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till the last minute. Number one, it means that you should say anticipate the stress way ahead of time. Say like 3 months ago, 3 months ahead of the exam, you just ended okay. So the stress is bound to be there, right? If you anticipate, you are preparing your mind. Your mind is being prepared to face it, and then 2 months, then 1 month. You wouldn't believe that closer exam, this stress will not come. Even if it comes and it disappears. Just check it. Just check it. This is extremely important. And meanwhile, if you learn this meditation, if you continue at this meditation, if you do it consistently, then over time, your mind will. What is stress? Stress is not able to sit in your mind not being able to sit in a calm way. It's simply just like this. This wavering happens. So, with this meditation, where you deliberately try to stop this moving, just keep it single-pointedly, because you train in this. Then, when the exam is there, you will just focus your mind. Instantly, your mind will go, from this movement of the stress to the calmness. Instantly, your stress will dissolve. So this requires. It's not like okay, last minute one. Okay, now I'm in stress. What should I do? Then we cannot do much. So the thing is that two things. One, I say way ahead of time, like 4 months, 3 months. Mentally anticipate that the stress is bound to be there. Now I have to prepare it from now. Then number two is keep practicing this single point meditation. These two things will surely help you. And during the last hour of the exam, even when the stress does come to you, just try to bring back your meditative experience, single point meditation. Instantly, the disturbance will stop. You can feel the healing instantly. This is very powerful meditation. Very helpful. Thank you. Good. More questions? Yes, Dr. Lee.
Question. If you are how does one see
Enthusiasm. Oh, okay. This is again a very important point. Thank you. In fact, this is where what I would say is that this is where we the Dhamma Circle. What is that? Medical Dhamma Circle. Okay. Medical Dhamma Circle. This way, Medical Dhamma Circle, if we can design some very systematic studies, because what Dr. Lee, what you brought up is exactly one of the very important part of the Bodhisattvas practice. How to sustain this enthusiasm. How to sustain this enthusiasm in your meditation, of your meditation. Okay, so with the exams there, right? You have exams, you have deadlines, and so this. Okay, meditation, then nobody will put me into deadline. Nobody will chase me to check if I did the meditation. Don't worry, so I'll do it later. So this deadline is very important, and the exam is very important, and then there's a competitive exams. All these are very important. So then you tend to lax so meditation. Simply then gradually disappears. So your enthusiasm, the flame of the enthusiasm dies. So how to keep it alive? Yeah, this is I'm sure some of you are aware of what is known as the Bodhisattvas Practice. Bodhisattvas practices, they are classified in two groups. One referred to as the 6 perfections. 6 perfections and the 4 perfections. Total 10. 6 perfections, they are: number 1, generosity; number 2, ethical discipline; number 3, patience; number 4, meditative concentration; number 5, number 1, generosity; number 2, ethical discipline; number 3, patience; number 4, enthusiasm; number 5, meditative concentration; number 6, wisdom. So these are referred to as the 6 perfections. Let me repeat: generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, meditative concentration, and a wisdom. 6 plus 4. 6 plus 4. Plus 4. Number 1, skillful means. Skillful means. Number 2, aspirational prayers. Aspirational prayers. Number 3, power. And number 4, discriminatory wisdom, or primordial wisdom. Primordial wisdom. Let me repeat the second set: skillfulness, aspirational prayers, the power, and the primordial wisdom. Primordial wisdom. 4. Okay, so then the first set of 6. The first set of 6. Number 4 is enthusiasm. So all these, in fact, the questions that you have, they're all being already responded there in the vast array of teachings of the Bodhisattvas, enthusiasm. So how to retain this enthusiasm, this question. And let's say that when you're all very young, Dr. Lee, say the Chinese New Year, when you are very young, when you are age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, how have you been anticipating for the Chinese New Year, or it's just another day when you are young? Exactly. So you want the Chinese New Year just for one day, or if possible 2-3 days? Yes. Why every day? So it lasts. You're able to sustain it, right? Enthusiasm means to sustain this. How to sustain the practice? So you're able to, Chinese New Year, your mind is so enthusiastic. Every day, no problem, right? Enthusiasm there. What makes you to retain this enthusiasm? Exactly, because you get more money, right? As a young child, to get money from the elders is, it's amazing. Amazing experience. So you get more money, and then tomorrow more money, 3 days more money. Okay, so that way, if there is a possibility that we can extend the Chinese New Year, we will extend it because you're happy. So when you're happy, then you want to continue doing it. This is known as enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, what is enthusiasm? Enthusiasm defined as a state of joy, a mental state of joy over virtues. A mental state of joy. When you have joy, you want to do it. So this will keep you going. When you lose the joy, then that's the end. So then you have to force yourself. When there's a joy, you don't have to force. It's the self-operational, or it's perpetuating. So the point is that these meditations, you have to think of the joy of these meditations. Try to cultivate the joy. How to cultivate the joy? By how to cultivate joy over the Chinese New Year? To think of getting the money. When I get money, then out of the joy. To think of that, then joy comes. Likewise, so what can help you to find the joy in a meditation? With a meditation, I would not go into burnout state. With a meditation, last minute stress is not there. You think about the benefits. You think about the benefits of the meditation, then the joy will arise. When the joy is there, you just feel like you're doing it. So this is how you can retain your enthusiasm. Very good. Practical question. Thank you. Okay, more questions. Welcome. Okay, any more questions? Okay. Any more questions? Ruben, you have a question? Yes.
I have a question that with regards to the previous question, sometimes when I do meditation previously, I find the breath, focusing on the breath boring.
Okay.
Yeah, so how can we make the breath more interesting?
This is again a very problem. Yes. The breath is quite boring. That's true. Okay. That's true. Okay. And how boring is going to a school, go to nursing college? Huh?
I feel interesting.
Every day is very interesting. You bunk? You don't bunk? You don't bunk? Your classmates, they don't bunk? Or they don't go for proxy? Okay, so what I'm saying is that the one thing is that generally, overall speaking, we talk about how to make things interesting. It's very interesting. It is very important. Then how to make the breath interesting? Breath is very boring. That's true. Yeah. Okay. So there was a benefit. So I told Dr. Lee, that's true. You think of the benefit of this. When you find the benefit, then automatically it becomes interesting. Say, hey, say you do a meditation breath, I'll give you, when you do meditation breath, I'll give you the 300 Sing dollars per day. Right? And if you do other meditation, I'll not give you any money. Right? And then you, breath, that's very exciting, right? Because there's a benefit. I get 300 Sing dollars. Just for doing the breath meditation for 5 minutes, I get 500 Sing dollars. Right? That's very interesting. So, if the breath is very boring, but the benefit associated with the breath, it can make it very interesting. So, the point is that what benefit will I get due to this meditation? Due to this the breathing meditation, what will I get? What incentive will I have? Incentive. Right? Reward. What's the reward? Right? In the brain, there's a reward system. The reward system. So what reward will I get? What is the incentive that I get? That's very important. For that matter, we have to think about the benefit of the meditation more. And then, for that matter, just look at the people who meditate and who don't meditate. Generally, don't just pick up one person who's not meditating but very calm, compassionate. Another person always meditating but very angry, short-tempered. Don't pick up these examples, extreme examples. Pick up, generally speaking, with meditation, people become calm. Without meditation, people can easily become agitated at times of desperation, at times of tragedy. They cannot really control themselves. So when you look at this, anytime I may also encounter with the tragedy. Or a situation, if I go through, this acute pain, the way this person is going now, I cannot really bear it. So how to train myself? A meditation. Like what? Breathing meditation. Wow, that's very precious now. You will see the preciousness of that. When you see the preciousness, when you see the benefit, then it becomes interesting. Right? Say when you see your, say the class teacher, nursing class teacher, every day, you may feel it very boring. But if the nursing teacher every day brings the chocolate for you, then it's very interesting. It's the same person, but there's incentive coming along. So it's so important whenever you do something difficult, something which does not make it so interesting. You have to give, show the incentive. For example, you'll be trained as a nurse, and eventually you have to insist your patients to take medicines. And taking medicines is very boring, right? But you have to make them take the medicines. Don't say it's boring, right? It's boring, but you have to do it. No, you have to make it very interesting. So you have to tell the benefit. Take the medicines, and then you'll cured, and then you can stop medicines after this, right? If you don't take the medicines, then later on you have to go through surgery, you have to go through all these, and then whole life you have to take medicines. You have to tell the benefit of taking the medicines, right? Then taking the medicines become very interesting. Good, thank you. Okay, any more questions? Oh yeah, yes. How do we deal with environmental disturbances? For example, heat, cold. Okay, that's a good question. Very good. This is a very good question. Okay, in fact, I rather prefer to do the questions session. Right? This is very good. The question: how do we do with the environmental disturbance? Meaning that environmental problems. Problems meaning, I say the disturbances caused on you due to the environmental limitations or whatever, like heat, cold. But so, for example, if you say in Singapore, if you find say the disturbance because of the heat, right? Then I would like to invite you to Delhi. I'd like to invite you to Delhi for a holiday in the month of May and June, right? And then you come to Delhi, and then you after staying in Delhi for like one week is okay. But if you want to stay for 1 month, I'll be more happy, right? I'll give you free room, food, everything free, right? And then you go back to Singapore. Wow, it's divine. It's not a heat. It's not a heat. It's divine, right? Okay, how to deal with the heat? Come to Delhi. How to deal with cold? How to deal with cold in Singapore? Right? Again, come to Delhi in the winter. Come to Delhi in the winter, and for free. For free, you can come here. Then I'll give you accommodation. Right? In the winter, you come here. In the summer, you come here. Go back to Singapore. You will see that wow, this is not heat at all. Right? And somebody says it's very hot. You will say you are being so overly pampered. Right? So you can deal with it. In other words, the heat, cold, they're all relative reality. And our body, to be very honest, our body has the ability to resist heat, resist cold to some extent. It has some range, where you can tolerate the heat and the cold. So our body, I would say that our body, even if you learn to bear the heat, I would say that if it crosses 40 degrees centigrade, Singapore, I don't think you ever had 40 degrees centigrade. Never. Delhi, 40 means very pleasant. 40, 41 is very pleasant. It can go up to 46. When we have the 46, then when it drops down to 40, I was looking through the weather forecast. Oh, the next week is 41. Oh, wow, so lucky, right? And what happened? Today is very cool. What happened? Oh, it's 41. Oh, so lucky. I thought, it's cool today. It's 41. Yeah, so just come to Delhi. So the point is that our body, when it hits 40, then I think we need some kind of cooling system. The body cannot really tolerate. The upper limit would be like 40 degrees centigrade, 33, 39, 38. We can bear. Our body can bear. We can learn. But if you over pamper this body, like always, it hits like 29, and then you put on the AC, aircon. It hits below like 18, 19. Again, you put the aircon. Then you are over pampering your body. In which case, then it hits like 30, 31. Then you can bear it. It hits below like 16, 17. Your body cannot bear it. But your body actually has the potential to bear from the range of like 12 degrees centigrade to like 40 degrees centigrade. This range our body can adjust. But we can over pamper your body, and this is what can happen. So therefore, the point is that how to deal with the external problems, the heat, cold, and so forth. That is one, to see things in relative terms. Not only see, but also experience in relative terms. Okay, this is a very important point because you are bound to meet with your friends, and they will complain about the heat, cold. Singapore, there's no infrastructure, there's no the heating system, the coal is okay. So when these complaints come, then you can share this experience. First, you tell them to go to Delhi, right? Okay, yeah, okay. So there's a story there. This story is a great message for all of us. The story was that there was a couple. They were a couple, husband and wife, and 3 children. And the husband was craving for a very quiet, peaceful place. And the 3 children, they're very naughty, mischievous. They're jumping here and there, making noise. The father was so fed up with this, and he went to a teacher. The teacher who was meditating in the cave. And request the teacher, please, sir, please teach me how to, have peace of mind at home. I have no peace of. What's the problem? What's the problem at home? And the gentleman said that the 3 children, they are making lots of noises. They jump here and they make everything messy. Then they said, what do you want? He said, I want peace of mind. And the teacher said, okay, do one thing. If you really want peace of mind, and if you really want to do whatever I ask you, he said, yes, I'm very eager to do whatever you ask me to do. He said that buy one goat as a pet. Animal goat as a pet. Oh, it must be like a magic. So he bought a goat and kept it there. And the 3 children, they were beating the goat. The goat was making the noise, screaming. Then everything was so messy. The goat was throwing the droppings everywhere, so messy, dirty. And then the father was so unhappy, mentally even more disturbed. He went to the teacher and said, "Sir, what did you do? I have no peace of mind." He said, "What do you want?" "I want peace of mind. But I told you last time to buy goat." "Yes, I bought it. It made me more disturbed." And the teacher said, "What do you want?" "I want peace of mind." "Okay, I'll give you peace of mind. Are you ready to do what I will say?" He said, "Yes, sir." Then he said, "Buy one chicken, a pet chicken." Then he thought, okay, maybe this time this is magic. He bought a chicken. Now the chicken is poking the goat, and the goat is what is that? The goat making the noise. I don't know what the English word, making just make the noise, and the three naughty boys, they are chasing the chicken, they're chasing the goat, and the droppings everywhere. Everything was so messy. The father was really going crazy. So this time he went there to the teacher to really fight with the teacher, right? You made my life more miserable. And the teacher said, what did I do? I did not do anything. But you asked me to buy the chicken and the goat, and I thought it's going to give me peace. Now it's really messy as hell. And the teacher said, what do you want? I want peace of mind. Okay, now release the goat. He went, he released the goat. Wow, it's so peaceful now. Wow. The next day he went to the teacher and thanked him. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Now I could really feel the peace. He said, now let go of the chicken. He let go of the chicken. All the three boys, they are so bored. They're always lying, sleeping. Everything is so tidy, clean, no droppings. The father was amazed. What a peace. This is a blessing of this teacher. He went to the teacher, made prostrations and thanked him. And the teacher said, no, I did not do anything. The peace that you are feeling was actually the day when you come to complain, the peace was there. You are not feeling it. Now you are feeling it. The same peace that you're feeling now was present there then. You did not feel it. Now you feel it because of the relativity. You have seen the worst because of this. What you earlier had, you realize that is peace. That is not to be complained. So therefore, if people in Singapore complain of the heat, let them come to Delhi for a holiday in the month of May. Then let them go back. They will say, wow, this is amazing. This is a paradise. Yeah. Is it good? Okay, more questions? Okay, good. So, okay, now there are a few other things to be taught about meditation, other aspects. So if we get time in the future, we'll do that, because at the moment it's time up. We'll stop here. Yeah. Okay, good.
Thank you very much, Venerable.
Welcome.
Now I want to discuss another question.
Okay. We'll say this together. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaya swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaya swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat Tesham chayo nirodha evam vati maha ashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well as taught by the great seer. All four seeds of the Buddha's teachings. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are subtle nature. Everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Stanza for Bodhicitta generation. I go for refuge in the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Swaha. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Delta Hum Gati Gati Paragati Parasangate Bodhisattvas Practice. Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangate Bodhisattvas. Om Gati Gati Paragate Parasangate Bodhisattvas